So now what we're going to do is we're going to address changing the flywheel out, or the flex plate. I've already pre-loosened it. What you'll see is you usually have this flange right here underneath the bolts. I've taken that off already. And go ahead and remove the crankshaft bolts. Second thing you'll notice after the old flywheel flex plate is there's actually a I would say like a pilot bushing in here. It's like a register. It's an inner sleeve pressed into the back of the crankshaft. We have to take this out. You can see it. I'm actually going to have to take this insert out so that the snout of the torque converter will fit in that register without, being in a bind. Once we get that out, then we're going to take our new flex plate adapter from Bouchelon Performance. It is their part number 727904SF, and it actually tells you this side goes towards the engine. So you turn it over, put it on, and it's not a symmetrical bolt pattern, so be cautious of that. Don't think that you can just put it on and start the first bolt. What you're actually going to have to do is look at the holes and spin it until every single one of them lines up. So like right now, this one is not lined up, and this one's not lined up, but this one is, and this one is. So you're going to keep spinning it until you get a situation where they're all lined up. This looks not it. These two are not lined up. So we'll do that, and then you can reuse your torque converter bolts. They're not, crankshaft bolts. They're not torque to yield. They're more like a chromoly bolt. So you put your Loctite back on them. What I like to do is actually weld in something sacrificial, just tack weld it in here and use that to drive this bushing out. Okay, so here is the inner bushing removed from the rear of the crankshaft on the 6.1. And this is what we're talking about, the reasoning as to why we had to remove this from the crankshaft. This is in the same position as the snout, which is this raised area here on the torque converter on the 727. So if you just look and put these close like this, you could see that this would not fit inside the inner diameter of this bushing. So it's about the same size. The snout and the diameter of this bushing are the same. So this has to come out to give clearance for this, so it doesn't, come into a bind on the crankshaft. So that's why that has to come out, because of the snout on the front of the transmission. Not a big deal. Just get that sucker out of there. So let's go put our flex adapter on, our flex plate adapter on. Okay, we'll reuse the same bolts again. Bushings, you'll actually take bread, like go buy a loaf of bread and shove it in that center register. There's not much of a lift on those bushings, so you still kind of have to put like a washer or something as well, but put on like say a pilot bearing, stuff like that, to actually stick bread inside of it, and then use a wooden dowel rod to compress the bread, and the bread will actually push the bushing out, like the pilot bearing out. Now, I don't know whoever thought of that. Maybe it's like a Mythbusters when you look at it.
Yeah.
I've heard it done, and I've seen videos, kind of an old mechanics thing. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe I was just dumb and naive, but no, I think we need to look and see. It might be legitimate.
So this one doesn't, it's not the flywheel. It doesn't have the...
Right, it doesn't have the starter teeth on it.
Yeah.
So GM is really the flywheel peeps. Going to want to spin on us, so we're probably going to have to put a pry bar in here. We're going to half step, so we're going to go around at 45 foot-pounds first, and then come back and do 70 instead of doing 70-70. Because you're just going to ease into it. You don't want to have just like 70 on one side of the flange, and then
for sure,
little nothing. So you're going to do 45 all the way around, and then we're going to go up to 70.
Please like and subscribe to DI